What's up, guys? Alexander Thomas here. Welcome back to Game Time 123. We are a few minutes away from the Nbl Draft. I want to quickly kind of explain how the Nbl Draft is supposed to function before we get into the actual draft, which is about 15 minutes away from now. The Nbl Draft is set up into 4 different rounds. Those will be round 1 and round 2 tonight. I'm going to start a little bit earlier off this. And every one of these 40 teams have the opportunity to take up a team, and their picks were based off of how they did last year. And these are all the teams. And depending on how they did last year, depends on how good rate picks they got, and it depends on each of the rounds as well. And you want to see here. And going to in round 1, these will be all the picks that will occur today. And there's 5 minutes for each one of the picks. Every team is in the order listed here, and the player they get is going to be on there as well. I will be updating it off camera, so you won't be seeing me going back to this. And the Nbl Draft, these are the draft picks they have, and this is available to you guys. I believe it's below this video. This thing is. The roster should also be available. I don't know if it's available for this video or not, but it is available. And here is the roster. The way it's going to work is they're going to have over 4 rounds, they're going to have 4 different players. They can sign players as well, and the restriction is they have to have a maximum 25. So if you see this little red line here, that is their maximum amount of players they are allowed to have when the season starts. So they can cut players after that. And if you want to take control of a team, you can let me know by sending an email to, and make sure I have the right account. I'm not going to do over there. It's nbl@sportshour@gmail.com. And I have the email set up for this one. Not really going to work on any of these things else. Hopefully you guys can see this. Yeah, but make sure I have these. Yeah, so it's nbl@sportshour@gmail.com, and that's all lower cases. I will put this to the chat. Just wanted to show you what the email is. I'm showing this again. I'll do that. That is the things right now. So if you go to that one, then and send an email to that account, you can take control of one of these teams. And there are 40 teams. There's plenty of teams out there. This is based just like fantasy football. It's free. The only requirements I will have to respond to the email you send to me, which means that will be the email list. That's the only thing I don't need your location. I don't need anything like that. I just need the location, the email address, and whatever team you want to go in. So you'll send an email to saying, I want to take over the Hawks or the Panthers or whatever you want. Any of these 40 teams. You can do that, and that will be available. Every one of these teams has got a basic idea. We don't really need to show this, but and And you can also see on this channel, on this something here, everyone for the since 2000 and 2000. Teams have changed a little bit since then. In 2023, or in 2016 to 2020, it was best of 3. In 2021 to the present, and going this year, it is best of 5. Prior to this, it was only 1 game. That is available, and you can see every team's position to actually make the playoffs. You'll see some teams that probably have not made the playoffs. For example, you'll see the Bears have not made the playoffs, but that's because teams that like this, that were founded in 2023, haven't had a chance to make the playoffs yet. Back to team roster here, and this will be how I will do it. I'll just update them over on my end here. You guys ready? Okay. And the way it was going to work is that every team is going to have 5 minutes. I'm going to go to the start screen here. You'll have a 5-minute timer. I'll go ahead and put my video up here. Up here in the corner, and this is where I show the players. And just a little bit based off of this is that it will be in the order that's been selected. So the first pick will be going to the Packers. That is going to be the basically how it's going to work for that. I don't know why it's showing my... Oh, okay, wait. Making sure everything's set up so you guys are seeing the proper thing. So I don't... So you... And this is the roster. I will not be putting them onto the roster. You can take a look at the roster needs. I won't be putting them onto the roster until after the Nbl stream. This stream is over, and the first 2 will be done. And you will see a couple players on there that have an R next to them. That means it's their last season, either because they are retiring because of the end of the season, or they are getting to a point where they're too old. In the NBL, I know this is a little bit weird, but in the NBL, it's 21 is the maximum age that you can be in it. So any of those teams that have either are retiring or have decided to retire, or are going to be forced to retire, like this. Make sure I have this. So if it's this one, it's retired at the end of the season. If it's like that, it's not quite right here. That means they're forced to retire. So that's going to be how it works for us. We have 5 minutes until the Nbl draft starts. I'm going to look at the clock. And then the Packers will be on the clock. I will go ahead and keep this. I'm going to go ahead and put this open here. You can see all the picks that everyone has for the next season. 2025 is the next season. Not this season, next season. the draft order has already been put in place this year. And these are all the players. You guys can take a look at this if you want to. It should be available to you. I'm going to go ahead and copy this to that as well, so you guys can see that it is available for you guys to go and see if you want to. It is a Google Docs. I don't even click on it because I already know what it is. But moving on to here, there are a lot of players. There are 500 total players in the NBL draft available. There's only 160 of them are going to get drafted. All right, it's going to start off with the Packers in about 3 minutes. And then we restart. We'll start immediately after. So Packers will be on the clock. And there are people that are responsible for doing the packs for us. You guys done here? You guys ready? Yeah. And we don't know who they're going to go in and pick. It's basically off it. That's where you can take a look at the rosters and go through what you think they might need. And that's up to you what you would want. If you want to take a control of this team, unfortunately, it's a little late for that. I explained this before, but it's probably a year ago. I probably seen it. If you want to take control of the team, the actual game starts in, when does it start? February, right? February 15th, I believe, is the first week. I have the season schedule already done, and I think that is available if you go to this one here. Is that right? It's not this one. It is the sports. It's one that's called Sports Hour. And I think I've also linked this one, but we'll copy it anyways. And the Packers are about to go online. They have 5 minutes for each one of these. I'm going to restart it right as it goes to that point, so they'll be on the clock shortly. Packers are now on the clock. And who knows what the Packers are actually going to try to go for. The Packers, it appears, probably going to go for a defensive player to start off. But since there's no specific ratings on any of these players, who knows what they're actually going to go for here. There's 500 players they can choose from. and all these players that have a higher defensive rating are probably what they're going to go for here. I can't go for all of them, unfortunately. But if you guys wanted to go through them, then you can go ahead and click that link that is overall rating, I think is what it is. I'll copy it anyways to make sure. The link I just did now is the current one. And the Packers. There's a lot of good players that they could go for the first thing. And a lot of these players probably not going to get drafted. They're going to be put into next year's draft. So who knows what happens. I mean, there were several trades for the first #1 pick because the Stars that had the #1 pick, and they traded to the Panthers. The Panthers traded it to the Packers, and you will see that alert. I didn't put any alert on the Stars trading and their pick. Packers have made their selection. Packers have selected They made their selection. It's been confirmed. The Bears are now on the clock. The Jeremiah Marvell. I hope I pronounced that right. Jeremiah Marvell. The Bears are on the clock now. And the Bears did pretty badly last year. They are probably going to need to go for an offensive player for this one. They could go either way. They've got a little bit more defensive based for it, so I think they're going to probably go for a offensive player here. I apologize, the thing goes down. I don't think it should. Because it should be above everything else. Trade block is currently closed. It's closed until the end of the draft. That's still up. Dora Darmy is what they've chosen. not a bad player, in my opinion, for this one. It's not a bad player. Might not be their best selection, but it still seemed like they probably picked a pretty good player off of that. It's been confirmed. The Warriors are now on the clock. Warriors had a one-win season last year. If I'm correct, they had like a one-win season of last year. Warriors gonna probably need to go for an offensive player. It's hard to say. They do have a decent team either way, so they could go for either way off this one. Warriors have made their selection. Warriors have selected Nessa Samuel. Very good player. And confirmed. The Kings are now on the clock. Kings. Could use. They're going to need defensive players. There's no doubt. Their defense is somewhat strong, but it's not strong enough. Nope. And they have chosen Nbl Clark. I'm just going to make sure it gets confirmed. And confirmed. Nbl Clark is now a king, or a Kings. The Lightning are now on the clock. Let's see what we got for the Lightning. Lightning did pretty awful last year. Looking at the Lightning, they need pretty much everything. because they're not losing anybody this year, but they're probably going to lose people next year. They are probably going to need to go for an offensive player. And they have chosen the Lightning have selected Alice Haynes. A very good player for the blue position. I say an absolutely good, very good selection for them, because Alice Haynes was actually one of the highest scoring players in the junior league, which is the league prior to this. And confirmed, Alice Haynes. The Hawks are now on the clock. Hawks were very sad last year. Hawks probably should be going for probably an offensive player. Looking at what they've had in the last year, their stats are not good. Hawks badly need an offensive player. No, you can't trade during the draft. And it's confirmed the Hawks have chosen Fan Escobar. Confirmed. The Legends are now on the clock. Legends were very depressing. They were supposed to be the best team in the NBL North. They were really sad. They were not even close to that point. They need help in all aspects. The Legends have some very high defensive players right now. I would say they would probably should go for an offensive player. There are some players. Yeah. Okay. The Legends have selected Nathan Short. not the person I would have gone for. Nathan Short is a great player in the context of the Bay States, but he struggles when it comes to covering, which is what the Legends had a problem with last year. It's confirmed. The Dolphins are now on the clock. Dolphins probably need defense. No, Dolphins could use anything, to be honest, because they don't have any specific weakness. They both have good defense and offense. They struggle a little bit more when it came to their defensive positions, but they're probably not going to defensive player. I think they're going to go for an offensive player. The Dolphins have selected, although George Manning. I think George Manning is actually a very good selection for them. His overall defensive rating should not hurt them that much. He's an 85 overall. He was very good in offense. He wasn't so good in defensive positions, so he's probably not as good of a defensive player. And confirms the Dragons are now on the clock. Dragons don't need anything specific. Probably going to go for an offensive player. Well, they're probably going to go defense because they're going to lose one of their best defensive players, Faith Darkwater, this next season. She is retiring off by force. They're probably going to going for a defensive player that says just to help them out a lot. In the selection, they have selected Mitchell Daniel, I think. I don't know how to pronounce that, unfortunately. I don't know what to say for that one because Mitchell, in theory, is a good player, but I think he just may have over-tested in context. He's got a good position. The Werewolves are now on the clock. I feel like that's a good selection for them because he seemed to have over-tested. I think he might be a little bit worse than he actually might have been. He might be an absolute fluke. Werewolves on the context. they're gonna live. They've lost. They lost Hannah, their best player, this last season. They also lost the other person that was helping them out. I think honestly they gotta take it off of going for offense. They lost Hannah Thomas, probably one of the best players that was ever on the Werewolves. They're gonna have to go for an offensive player. They just can't do it for a defensive player. They got some decent offensive players, but they have a lot of defensive players. I think they gotta go for an offensive player here. They gotta get a good player to help them out. And the Werewolves have chosen, hopefully, a replacement. But I don't know. They chose Agnes Olsen. I don't know what to say about that one because he's not the highest overall player. He's a good player. I agree with that. He had a great season. Ravens confirmed. Ravens on the clock. But he was just a player that I felt could have gone either way. He didn't do particularly well when it came to shootings, which is what when they actually need. It's not what I confirmed, anyways. Tracy Stanford has been selected. Offensive player, very good position. I didn't even go take what the look was of what they needed, but Ravens have selected Tracy Stanford. I will say this is a great leader. That's something the Ravens could probably needed. I will say that's probably what the Werewolves also needed. Confirmed, the Bulldogs are now on the clock. Bulldogs didn't really lose anybody. Their current unknown team leader, though, they're gonna need defense. They struggled defense last year, and I will say right now, that is something they're gonna have to go for because defense is what they struggled with. they've got some good offense. I think they go for defense here. Anus Fleming. Female, by the way. If you thought that was a male, it's female. I think she's called, I think it's Aeneas. I think it's called Aeneas. Not a... Oh, watch it. What was her overall so low? I was confusing this. Why was her overall? I think I must have done something because overall is much higher than that. Average is a nice 6. Those are the scores that here by and the Bulls make their selection. Agnes Fleming. I don't think it was a bad selection. Falcons are now on the clock. Took their time for that one, but it's fine. Because we have 2 rounds to go for. Falcons are on the clock right now, and Falcons are really young. They've got a good offensive and a good defensive leader. There's generally two captains, but I don't know. I will say that's tough for them. What do they pick? Falcons probably need. They're gonna lose Gore Pagers probably. Their offense. They're probably their offensive leader, anyways. Maybe not their offensive leader, offensive defensive play leader. I don't need this up right now because I don't have the reason. I'm going to say the Falcons probably don't need anything specifically to those. So they're probably going to go for a high overall player just to help them out. And confirmed, or we're not confirmed yet, but Falcons have selected Josie Dixon. I would say I would be pretty pleased with that. It's a pretty good player. 94 overall. Confirms the Bobcats are now on the clock. I just draw my mouse. Other mouse. Not this mouse. I don't know what the Bobcats go for here. I mean, the Bobcats have a strong team overall. I would guess they kind of have more of a balanced team. I would say they probably go for an offensive player. And that's what they're going for. They're going for Brent Crow. I think that's a very good player, very good selection for them. Angels are now on the clock. Angels struggled last season. How they got so many wins, I don't know. Angels are also going to be losing 2 players at the end of the season. They're Kathleen Kearney and Julie Newman, both of their basic leaders for the offense. I think they're going to have to go to defense here, though, because their defense was awful last year. And Antonia Ava is who they're going with. Not really who I thought was what they were going to go for. That surprised me. Not who I would have gone for there for them. The Foxes are now on the clock. See, I'm surprised. That's not who I thought they would go for. They have the Angels already have a good defense and they're good players. Maybe they're thinking they're gonna lose somebody to injury or something. I don't know. Foxes made playoffs one year. They missed this playoff this last year. They could use anything too much. I'm gonna say I don't even know what they go for. They'd go for anything here because there's no specific player that they need. I would say looking at how the Foxes did last year, points. Foxes were both in both positions. I don't know what the actual rating was for them, but I'm going to say Foxes probably taking a look at that. I'm going to say they probably go for a defensive player. I don't know what they go for. I mean, they've got good defensive players. They're probably going to need a defensive player, though. I'm going to say that. That's what I would go for if I were them. And they have chosen Lucy McCaff. Interesting player. I honestly think that's a pretty good player. I think she could be good in any team she goes for. She's a great leader. Any position. She can play. She's one of those players that can play any position. She's a 99 overall player. And the UNC, United National Cats, is now on the clock. Not the school, United National Cats. Ouch. Well, they didn't give me a chance to do it. UNC made their selection really quickly. Natalie Beth. I don't know how to pronounce that. Natalie Ventrestra? I don't know how to pronounce that. Wow, they made a quick pick. Saints are now on the clock. Saints, if they give me a chance to look at them. Let's just say they need defensive players. Their defense really struggled last year. Looking at their points, defense, yeah, they had they had 60. They had much better offensive defense. So I would say they go for a defensive player here. Their team is very, very interesting to go for. And the Saints have selected Kurt Stone. Not a bad player. Mark that. I'm not going to say it's a bad pick. I think that's a pretty good pick. Might not be the best pick because that's more of an offensive player than a defensive player. But we'll see. Jets are on the clock. Jets didn't take long to pick their pick. Yvonne Curry. Sounds like it's related to somebody. There's never, I don't know if there's a relation. Yvonne Curry. And the Cardinals are now on the clock. Cardinals could use anything, and honestly, they're losing a lot of offense and defensive players, so they need a really good player just to get on it. Their team's really young, though, other than that. Alright, they can get either way here. I would probably go for a defensive player. They selected Sue Sauter. Sue Sauter. Okay, cool. Not necessarily surprised on that, but I think that's not a bad pick. The Beagles are on the clock. This is pick 21. This would be pick 21. They're going to take their time, I think. Make sure they have the exact right player, because the Beagles have had some struggles. Recently, and they do have a very, very young team. I think their average team, yeah, it is a 2.1, so they have an average of 2 years experience, basically. I think they go for an offensive player, just off the basics, because of the context of what they do. The Beagles did better in offense than defense, so they might go more defensive on the defensive side. Kara Franklin. So they went with an overall player basically instead. I wouldn't be disappointed with that player. I don't think it's a bad selection. Lions are now on the clock. And the Lions, made their selection. They have gone with Marcus Stewart. Good player, basic overall. That sounded like a forced pick, to be honest. Like they had only a few options. Like they had already looked in. It's like, hey, we want to pick this person. Oh, they're gone. Next person. Leland Cats are now on the clock. And they have made their selection already as well. That's surprising because they chose Clint Heath, 88 overall player. Really? I guess he's an offensive weapon. Oh, they've changed their mind. Yeah, I thought they were going to change their mind. I was like, what? Clint Heath. I mean, he's not a bad player, but that's not the best. That would not be there's plenty of players that are still high up there. Now, granted, there are not a lot of 99 overall players. And they have settled. I'm going to put the Cats, not the Leland Cats, because, yeah, we'll put Leland. Cats, if they select, as to put they haven't confirmed it yet. Jareen Millers. I think it's a good player. Might be a little bit more off a push team because she's not a good team leader at all. She's not a good overall player basically, and she just has a good offensive. But that's not really what they needed. I think that was the selection they should have gone for. Anyways, the Ethan are now on the clock. No, they should not have gone with her. He's an offensive weapon. They need defense. They need a defensive player. And was taking a look at the Ethan. The mascot's an owl. I don't want to say here from them. They got some good defensive players. I don't think they go for defense. I think they go for offensive weapons here. I don't know what they even go for here. They're kind of a half and half team. But they did struggle in both sides last year, so I will say I think they go for just to help them out, an offensive player, and hope they get some good games in. And they chose Diana Waters. Interesting selection. I think honestly good. One of the last 99 overall players left in the draft. As of rate, anyways. Yeah, I think that was a good selection. And the Giants are on the clock. Giants really have no specific concern. And that is why, because they just selected really quickly. It was a player they were going for before. Frederick, very good defensive player. I have noticed they did struggle quite a bit in their defensive positions prior to this. So I will say, good pick. I think that's a great pick. The Pirates are now on the clock. We're 26, so pretty. One round. I think we're supposed to do 2 rounds tonight. That's 80 picks. We are only on pick 26. Pirates have selected Roselle Castle? Roland Castle. Or Turner, or whatever. Interesting selection. Don't want to say about that. The Techs are now on the clock. Techs. I think could use anything. I don't think there's a specific thing they need. They might want to go for more of an offensive player in this case, but it's just tough to make certain decisions. And then we went with Gladys Smithers, offense. It's a weapon. The Techs have, I think, made a very good selection. 4th. I'm surprised, honestly, she didn't go earlier, even though she wasn't the highest rated overall player. I think that was a great selection. The Supermen are now on the clock. And they didn't take any time to select. My goodness. The Supermen selected Troy Reynolds. I feel like this is one of those players that they were looking at and said, hey, we want to get this player if he is available at this time. And I will say, yeah. I don't think he. I think he was a perfect match for Superman. He's not the best defensive player, but he's great offensive. They need an offensive weapon to get back onto this game. The Chargers are now on the clock. Chargers are actually one of those teams that are going to have to cut players from their team because they currently have 25 players. So they're gonna have to cut 4 players from their team, and these might be the rookies. They got some good players. I think there's a good chance they're not going to cut the rookies. The rookies are going to be too good for them. But they've got some good. I think they're going to have hits. I think if it were me, I would draft a. Honestly, I don't know what I would draft here because they both have a good spy on both positions. I don't think these are percentage in the need of the draft. And they do Frankie Mora. Frankie Mora. Interesting selection. I will say that's probably a good pick for them. The Knights are on the clock. Knights have the 29th pick. The Knights have made to the playoffs for a lot. Looking at the playoffs, just looking at the Knights, let's see if I can find them. Knights have been here a ton, so I don't know if they need anything specifically. No, the Knights do not need anything. They made it this last year. They made it the previous year. They made it back in 19. Then they made it back-to-back seasons in 15. They don't have anything specifically they need. Let's just see here. They are, however, not as high of an overall as I would have said that I would have liked them to have. They only have an 84 overall team. But they've got a pretty bat-based team. I'm not saying they're going to have to go for anything specific here because they've got everything. I would probably say if they're going to draft someone, they're going to draft a team leader because they don't really have one. Problem is, a lot of these players probably aren't even team leaders if they really looked at them. They are going to choose Pulley. Yep, that's what they chose. Honestly, she is a great team leader. She was a captain for the Blue in the junior league. I think that's a great selection. I will say this, though. She doesn't have the highest stats for defense, and that's something they probably need to work with a little bit more. But honestly, I don't think it's a bad selection. The Dogs are now on the clock. I just drop them My mouse again. It's connected to a cord, so it's not going very far. Dogs don't need anything. They have everything. So yeah, they didn't take very long. The dogs have selected Allison Moran. Wait. Really? That's a surprising #1 pick. She's not a very high overall rating. She has a high offensive rating, but I would not have thought she would have gone in round 1. Allison Moran. I will say that's a shocker to me because now the Browns are now on the clock. That's a shocker because she's not a high overall player. She's not even the highest overall. Why did she go in round 1? I don't get it. I don't get why she went. I mean, dogs didn't anything specific, but I would say they could if they were probably going to be able to get her in round 2. And the Browns have made their selection. As is, the Browns have 2 back-to-back picks. So they're going to have... They have a back-to-back pick here. So the Browns are going to be on the clock again. They chose Vance Aaron. I would have said that's a whole lot better pick. They've got another pick to go for, though. So they got to go. It's because they have a back-to-back picks. They do have 5 minutes for each one of these, and they have... Oh, my... Yeah, they didn't take long for either one of those picks. They must have already decided what they're going to go for. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Weef. If someone could tell me how to pronounce that name, because I'm lost. I think there was additional picks trade at some point there. Otters are on the clock. Otters, let's just say, I don't know how to say this. The Otters actually do really well. They made the playoffs last season. Okay, actually they didn't make the playoffs last season. They must have just missed it. Last season, but they got eliminated by the Huskies. That's right, because they made. They didn't make the playoffs. I'm pretty sure they made the playoffs. But anyways, they're probably gonna go for a defensive player. That's what I'm gonna call. I'm gonna say a defensive player. Honestly, no surprise there. Jeannie Errett is an absolutely really good player. She was absolutely the team player they needed. They needed the team player that was great in everything for us. Absolutely the right player for them to go for. The Colts are now on the clock. Pick 135. We're actually not moving that badly. We might be a little bit past. I think we might be doing a little past midnight. The Panthers are going to be next on the clock, so. Pat Cleaver? Oh no. I'll say that's not who they go for here. Rochelle Lins. Or Lins, I think. Panthers are moving around a lot too. I realize I have their ratings where they got. Now ours did make the playoffs. Anyways, the Panthers are on the clock. I thought they made the playoffs. Because I think they beat the Packers in order to get to the second round. Yeah. Okay, well. I don't even know. Panthers don't need anybody, so. Panthers. This is the trade that they trade to give the number one pick to the Packers. I don't know what they go for here. Because, honestly, the Panthers don't need anybody. They have basically the highest overall team that they can even have. They made it to the playoffs the last, I don't know how many years. Let's see. They have made it to the playoffs total of 17 times. So, they don't need anyone specifically. What? Why? With the... I don't understand. The Panthers have selected Samantha Clark Rose. What on earth? I'm so, what? What happened? Wait, what? This doesn't make any sense. She's an 87 overall, and she went in the first round. I will say this, and this might be where the Panthers came from for it. The Panthers did sign a really good player this year. She's actually not even old enough to be in the league yet. She turns it before the NBL starts. I can't believe it. The Tigers are now on the clock. I can't believe that. Samantha Clark-Rose is a 74 overall. Why? Unless they thought she was really, really good. Unless they saw something. I mean, technically, I play for the Panthers. So, okay, I'll be honest. I, in theory, own the Panthers in the context for it. But that's she would have stayed. There's no way that she would have been picked in round 1. Unless they thought, there is a possibility they're going to try to get Susan Clark-Rose in the second round. They're sisters. That might be good. They'll have 3 siblings on the team. And the Tigers made their selection. Jane Thompson. See, that makes sense. I mean, the thing is, I have connection over the Panthers, but I do not have any connection of their draft picks. So, why? Granted, I made a team. I have talked to them with their team meeting about these players that seem really good, but I wasn't picking that they're going to pick them in round 1. That's not the right. I would have said round 2, maybe round 3, most certainly. Leland Cats are now on the clock. I'm in shock. I will say this: I did talk with the current team captain about this, and because that person's making selections. I own the Panthers in fairness, but I didn't think that they were going to select them in the first round. No chance. If we do terrible this year, I'm going to blame the team leader. Who's the team leader right now? Oh yeah, Piper Lippa. Who is retiring? We have Alexander Thomas Jr. too. That's the other person who makes $20,000 a year. I'm sorry. I respect this decision, but I feel like I should have gone in a much later round. I think we would easily got her earlier. And the Leland Cats, I think it's the second pick for the Leland Cats. A Eugene Carey. See, I would have probably picked him. I will say this: we had a team meeting, and I said, these players look really good. They'd be great to have. I didn't think they were going to pick them in round 1. Well, The Indians been on the clock. I will put up the Indians. Indians were the best or second best team in the NBL league, and they got demolished by the Giants in round 1. So, I don't even know what to say. I'm sorry. I'm still a bit shocked how the Panthers being selected. I'm going to have to talk with them. Good old meeting. Yeah, I want to talk about this. No, I can't do it now. No. Sounds good. I don't know. I apologize. We're gonna have words. They're gonna have defensive players, no doubt. The Indians are selecting. The Indians selected Patricia Hughes. I will say this. Patricia Hughes does look like the perfect match for the Indians. The Indians needed a really high-scoring offensive player. She's not the best player, no doubt. She was not the best player. The best player by far would probably have been Lucy McCarthy. But of course, they can't pick her because she's already been selected. The Huskies are now on the clock as a pick 40 in round 1. Huskies were the best team by far. So they can go for anything. I don't even know what to say for them. I would say they go for the highest overall player, and they just work with that player. That's what I'm going to say. Because there's no one they need. I will say this, they are actually a very young team, too, to point that out. Looking at the Huskies, yeah, their average experience... I must not update the last 2 rows or something. Or I missed a row. Their average experience is Carey Price, who is probably going to have to retire next season if he does it, is only 2 years. I will say they probably go for an offensive player here. A high-level offensive player. The Huskies are selecting Lindsay Christie, I think. I think that's a good pick. Round 1 has been completed. We have We have, I think, a 2-minute break between rounds. The Stars will be on the clock. Stars, who were winless last season. Yep, it has started. Stars are on the clock. By the way, Stars had the #1 pick. They traded it to the Panthers. The Panthers traded it to the Buccaneers. Not the Buccaneers. Not the Buccaneers. I'm thinking about Panthers and Buccaneers. They traded it to the Packers. There might be additional compensation the Stars will be giving them, but I have a doubt there's going to be any. Because the Stars badly need some good players. They were the worst team in every position, pretty much. I want to look at Stars had the lowest points for and hits. I'm going to say they go for offense, a high level overall players. But the problem is they're all of them are pretty much gone. They got to go for an offensive player. I would say a 9 overall player, except I don't think there is one. No, the Stars have just got the steal of the season. Lucille Garcia. Defensive player, but they got a really good deal. Absolutely. How did she not go in round 1? I'm a little bit. I'm actually not surprised because Lucille is actually a really bad attitude player, right? Yeah, she was like a really bad attitude player, so she's not going to be a team player. Bears are now on the clock. Bears picked a high-level offensive player. I think they're going to go for another offensive player. I just don't think they're in round 1. I mean, in round 1, they went with another 9 over player. I think they go for another offensive player. I just don't think they have enough offense to be able to keep it. I think they're going to go offense, then they're going to go defense. They struggle a little more on offense, so they're going to go for another offensive player, I would expect. Probably not going to be a very high-level offensive player, but yeah, they're going to go with, I don't know. Darrell Holmes. Really good player. Surprisingly, she didn't go in round 1 either. Actually, I would have said Panthers should have selected her. No. Panthers did not need her. I might be being too hard on the person made selection. Might be a really good pick. She might be a great player, but I would have said that she should have gone round 1. She should have gone like top 5 picks because she's gonna be one of the best players. Grant, they probably were fighting over deciding whether to get her or him or Dora. The Warriors are on the clock. Warriors are going to snap up on our player really quickly because they're not going to They're not going to wait around. Yep, they went with Laura Meadows. Actually, not the best. Not what I would have expected they would have gone. That's not the person I would have thought they would have gone for. But honestly, very good selection. Just a great team player. Great overall. I would say great selection. I don't know that she was the best pick that they should have gone for, but yeah, I will say it's a good pick. That's a good pick. Not the best pick, but a really good pick. Kings are now on the clock. Kings need offense as well. And, oh my, the Kings have gotten a steal. Round one person that should have gone round one. Not the person they probably needed, but honestly, not a bad player to go for. Dara Woods. How did she not go in round one? Is beyond me because granted, I will say this about Dara Woods. Dara Woods is a keep the ball to myself. So she's not the best player, which maybe why she didn't go round one. How many 9-over players are left? Nope. There's still one. Oh, here's how many 9-over players. No, there's only one 9-over player left, I think. There's some 9-over offense players, but only one 9-over. I bet you the Lightning are going to steal it, and yep, that's what they say. Sorry? Yep, that's exactly what they're going for. No, they're going to Clyde Robinson. I will say Clyde Robinson is a really good selection too. I would probably said he should have gone probably in round one as well. I may have spelled Lightning wrong. But Clyde Robinson is a really good player to go for it. It's a great team player, great minutes. Hawks are now on the clock. I don't even know. Hawks probably go for defense here. I'm going to go so they go for a 9 overall defensive player. They're going to go with Ward. They're going to go defensive player. I think they're going to go Ward. That's my pick. That's my opinion for that. Oh no, they didn't. They went with a 9 overall player. Well, I will say, yeah, 174. That was just the draft number they got. Not surprised. I would say that's a good pick. The Legends are now on the clock. There's no way that they don't take Ward. There's no chance they don't take him. Yeah. The Legends did take Ward. Yeah, that was not surprising. Pick was number 117. Absolutely not surprised. If they didn't, I honestly think it was very close for them. Anyways, the Dolphins are on the clock, and the Dragons will be next, followed by the Werewolves. As you might have seen from this one, there's a lot of players that are just not high overall rated. That doesn't mean they won't get drafted, because there are 150 of these players are going to get drafted, even if they aren't high enough for rating, and they're just not taking a very long time to make a selection for that one. Yeah, I would have said that's Marguerite Brer, I think. It's a good selection. The Dragons are now on the clock. I think the Dragons go for offense. I just don't think they. I think they're gonna concentrate on their offense this year. And they're gonna concentrate on their defense next year. Of course, they can get free agents. Not surprised. Stephens. The Dragons have chosen Stephens. Darwin Stephens. Darwin Stephens, pretty good player. Werewolves are on the clock. I don't know what we're going to go with. They're going to need probably offense as well. No, they went defense. They went defense. Starting Will. I'm surprised. Well, I can see that they did lose a good defensive player as well of this one. So, okay. I would say that's probably not the person I would have gone for first. Actually, that's the person I probably would have gone with first. And then go with the other person. Ravens are now on the clock. They're 100% going defense. tough one. They're going with Robbie Grace. Honestly, good player, great leader, has a great offensive position. And I don't know if that was the selection they should have gone with, though. Because I don't know. Robbie Grace is a great player. Great selection. The Bulldogs are now on the clock. But I feel like he was going to stick around a little bit. For a little bit of time, at least. I mean, maybe they want to wait to see if she wasn't selected. But Sean Smith was selected very quickly by the Bulldogs. Didn't take long. Sherry Griffith. And the Falcons are the 53rd pick. And are on the clock. I wonder if there's any players that have like over 100 ratings still that are not have not been selected. Clint Lucky surprisingly has not gone. Defensive hide. Natalie, I can't pronounce that. Had not been selected as overall. There's only two players left that have not been selected. And I bet you one of them is going to go to the Falcons. The Falcons need a lot of help. Just look at the Falcons last year. Falcons with a 2-5 didn't qualify. In fact, Falcons have only made it playoffs 4 times in their career. So, in their season, they also were really struggling in their defensive position. So they gotta go for one of these defensive players. Yep. Not 95 overall player going to the Falcons. Absolutely agree with that. Maurice Hickman. Absolutely the right selection for them. Bobcats are now on the clock. And they're going with Clint Lucky. Really? They kind of need defensive position. But the Bobcats, I would not have expected them to go to that person, though. It's not a person I would have gone for. Clint Lucky. I don't think that's the wrong pick. I just don't think it's the best pick. Angels are on the clock, followed by the Foxes. Okay. Pat Carver, selected by the Angels. Interesting. We're at the Foxes are on the clock. posted a little bit late, but there's no way they don't take. Yeah, there's no way they don't take Natalie. She's the defensive position they needed. Absolutely. Yep, they went with Natalie. The Foxes have selected Natalie. Great addition to their team. And UNC is now on the clock. UNC, I don't even know. UNC, National Cats, I don't even know what they go for here. Probably defense. They probably go for a defensive player. If they don't, then I don't know what they're thinking. Yeah, Jess Norman. UNC, another player I would thought was on probably at least round 1. Didn't, but should have probably. Saints are now on the clock. I don't know. They need everything, pretty much. The Saints have gone with, make sure I spelled the name right, I keep spelling the name wrong. Mindy Young. Interesting. Not sure I would have gone with that person. I feel like she would have been probably a round 3 pick. Trying to gone round 2. The Jets are now on the clock. Come on. Okay, jeez. Yep, that's reasonable. Pretty good player. The Jets have selected Mel Pence. She actually, I think, was very, how to say this, did not do well in the, how do I say this, when she went to the league, the what we would say is the not franchise specialized picked Cardinals on the clock. The combine basically for NBL, she actually didn't do as well. I don't think she did as well. She went through. I think she actually is a much higher offensive player, probably 9'5" on both sides. Brent Gardner is the Cardinals selection. I'm going to say this about Brent. He is incredible. Incredibly great player. He is a very good defense. He's great in stealing. I probably like to look at his stealing rating. Let's look at this for a second here. If you look at Brent Gardner, if you look at his steal score and his speed score, that is very, very high. I would say, yes, that's absolute. The Eagles are on the clock. Yeah, absolutely good player for him. I want to say right now the Cardinals should do really well this year. They might not win the division because of all the other teams that are in the division. Because again, the Dogs and the Knights, the Cardinals, Dogs, Knights, Legends, all of them are really powerful players. But I think they got some good players. Okay, Arthur Barr is going here. I think Arthur Barr was more like it's maybe not the best player for them. I don't necessarily question their pick. He's a great player. But he is more of like, how to say this. Actually, I want to look at his one because he, I think, was a great in speed as well. He was pretty average, I think, honestly. The problem with him was that he was not a good recoverer. He couldn't do very well. He was not good at recovery. But I'm not surprised. The Lions are now on the clock. I don't even know what Lions go for. Lions go for something good. A good player. For me, I would have gone with someone really high level. Oh, Panthers are next. Oh, what are they going to pick this time? We're gonna have a conversation if they pick this, what I think they're gonna pick. If it doesn't get selected. The Lions have selected Eileen Hester. We got to trade for this. Yep, that was not the person I wanted. Forgot the Panthers have 2 picks early on too. Panthers are on the clock. Please be smart. I'm begging, please be smart. Because I can't change the pick once it goes to. You got speaking. Taking their time to make the actual selection. Which means I think they're considering, the person's considering it. They're not selecting her. Yeah, it's a her. They did not hear my sonnet prayers. Susan Clark Rose has been selected by the Panthers. We have another pick this round, so it's not the end of the world. Please. Honestly, this is either going to be really good or really bad. The 8th are next on the clock. We're going to go for a few more. I think it's going to take a little bit longer. 8th have selected. Yeah. I would have selected him too. But I don't get to make selections when it comes down to this. So, 8th selected Carlton Greeny. Oh, I don't need to do that. I want to do him. Carlton Greeny. It's number. I will say this. Probably would have gone with him. Susan Clark Rose has probably been around up until at least our next pick. And then maybe I would have chosen her. Actually, I would have probably chosen them, these last two picks versus the Innovis. The Giants are now on the clock. Giants, please don't... Okay. I got you, guys. Giants have selected... I know. That is crazy. Then we got the Twins. I didn't make a selection. Lindsay... A good pick. I think it's a good pick. And the Pirates are on the clock. They did not. It's like they didn't even risk their breath for us. Without any chance, they're like, "We're taking this person. Give me this person. I don't care who else is on the clock. We're taking." Quell Clemens. Don't give me a breath. They don't give me a chance. And the Techs are now on the clock. Crystal Montgomery. Last 100 overall offensive player that I think is on the board. they're going to be really good. I think, honestly, they're going to be really good offensively. They're going to have a great offense. Crystal Montgomery, I think, is great. I feel like she could have gone earlier. Or should have gone earlier. I think, what was their first pick? Their first pick, Superman on the clock. What was their first pick? Their Tech's first pick was Grayus. Okay, okay, I understand that. They have a good team. Basis. Absolutely, that's good. That was a good pick. Clay Wickens? Is that what you go for? Okay, well. Assuming of choosing Clay Wilcoats. Or Clay Wilcock? It's about 12 now, so Chargers are on the clock now. Hey, honestly, not bad. You know, taking me, what, 2 hours at this point? Give or take 2 hours because of the 10 minutes. I'm probably going to end up cutting most of that part out. Hereditary? Okay. The Chargers did not even let me reset the clock. No, they did. Okay. Chargers. They chose Allison. Oh God, I don't want to. Number 210. Interesting. It's a good pick. Knights are on the clock, and they. Goodness. Okay, what's your selection now? Yeah, maybe you should let me actually kind of. You guys can't hear this. I have. They're telling me it's. There's a connection through phones. You can't see it, but the connection through this that hits. They're connecting through another speaker, which goes through this, and it's. Okay, I got you. Patricia is now the player that you want. Oh. Fair enough. Dogs are now on the clock. By the way, dogs and knights are actually going to be really powerful pins. I suspect the dogs are not going offense. They're not going to chase this guy. They're going to take someone else really high. They got to take a defensive player. Really? No, I'm sorry, offensive player, not defensive player. They chose Connie. The dogs chose Connie. You know, Connie Kendall? No. That's pretty copyrighted. It's not Connie Kendall, it's Connie Briers. And the Browns have another two picks back to back. They have the next two picks. Why they have some picks? They must have had some big trade that happened. I don't know. Because made some big trade, or maybe they actually, I don't know, because they have the Browns have 2 back-to-back picks again. Is that really how it worked? They must not have very many picks next year. Uh-oh. Oh, I see what happened. What? Okay. Browns. How did the Browns have 2 picks in a row? Is my question. Did they make some sort of trade that I didn't know about? No, this confirms. That's how it was. Wow. They're taking their time for the pick. They want to make sure they know which 2 teams they're going to pick. How are the Browns? Interesting. They must have. There was some trade that may have happened. Can I get a confirmation of this? Gotcha. Okay. So what happened, as they're going for the pick here, and hopefully choosing someone's good, Tony Collins, is they actually made a additional compensation trade. I'll try to explain that in a second here. The way it works is that they made an additional compensation trade, which is with the Beagles. So the Beagles, because the Beagles were next in line, gave them a bunch of picks to receive a bunch of their players, or compensation for players. They're talking about that. Browns are going to go back on the clock in a second here, idiots. And yeah, they're going to go with Sarah Hodges. Nope, it's the Patrick Michael. Okay, it's not. It's because I was not told about this. I'm the NBL lead, so I don't know. So basically, according to what I understood, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, right here, they made a trade with the Bengals all season that was just now being told to me. Yep. They confirmed that's exactly what happened. The Otters are now on the clock. Wow. We have a total of 7 picks left. It's going to be a little bit longer, probably 2 hours and a half, basically. So the additional compensation means they gave them the picks for this year and additional compensation for this year. So that's interesting. Basically, what happens to additional compensation, to explain, is that they give you basically, you're saying, we're going to trade you these picks or this player, you're going to give us compensation at a later time. Assuming we don't actually trade this pick. Like the Packers actually would have had, so the Stars would have had additional compensation, except that they would trade the pick. That's the reason why the Stars don't have that. same position. Alright, who got Curry? The Jets did. Must have accidentally deleted or something. Because I know Curry was selected. Kate. Kate Rogers? Or is it Caitlin Carter? Okay, wrong one. Had the wrong one. And the Colts are now on the clock. Who knows what they're going to go for? They're going with Joining Looms. The Colts are. You will need to confirm what those things are. Yes or no? Joining Looms. Basically, additional combination means that we're going to give you these, whatever it is, and you're going to give us something back at a later time. It is now the Packers. They're now on the clock. That's basically what happens. They're going with Beck. And the Panthers are now on the clock. I wish I could make a selection, but I don't. Please go with someone at least that we know for sure is going to be good. Maybe Dora. For. Boy, this is Jesus, not Jesus. Jesus. Jesus Bender. It's not Jesus. Come on, guys, you have 3 minutes. It shouldn't be that hard. There's only 3 picks left. Someone's getting fired. There is no way. There's 94, 93 right here, and you're going to stick with someone. Come on. Please pick a good player. What happens if they don't pick in time? The next team gets to pick first prior to them. Actually, I think it just goes. You have to beat the end of the draft. So they got 1 minute and 45 seconds. Honestly, if they pick someone that's like super low, like if they pick Marcus Sanders, I'm gonna be really upset because first one, okay, I'll give you that. Second one, why? The third one, if you do this 3 times in a row. Just waiting to see if I have to fire her or not. Put her on a cut. I guess I'll probably put her on a cut list. You guys got 45 seconds. Oh my. Alexis Potts? Oh no. They chose Alexis Potts. I can't, I mean, do we have many Alexes do we have to have on our team? Tigers, you're on the clock. How many Alexes do we have to have on the team? Here go the Panthers. Just for the Panthers themselves. We got Alexis Karkalos. We got Alexis Storm. We've got Alexander Jones Jr. We got Alexis K. Alexis Hall. We got another one. We have to cut a player, by the way, if we don't cut someone. But because we have two playable, but I don't know. Was there a sheet somewhere that said get every Alex that ever appears in the draft? Tigers on the clock, if that's helpful. Yeah, Laura Lennon. Completely respect that pick. I will swear we're going to have a meeting with that team leader who made all the picks for tonight because I didn't feel comfortable basically making the picks. Indians are on the clock. Please don't make us difficult. Indians didn't take long. It's like, we need this player. But I spelled it wrong. There goes my mouse again on my leg. Maria Scott. She's 146. I think it's. That was Indians and Huskies to the final pick in the draft. And this is going to happen tomorrow night, too. There's going to be less players, but just forget it, guys. If you guys see this later, the second round, in case you guys see this tomorrow, sometime early on, the second round, which is rounds 3 and 4, is tomorrow. I'm going to say Glenn Anderson. They made a great pick. It's a great pick. If the Panthers have only done that. Oh. You want to talk? You want to see me, Coach? Give me a minute. One second here. Alright, she's off camera because we don't want to show you. But goodness. Yes, I wanted to see you. Go ahead and take a seat. I'll talk to you in a second. Oh. We had training earlier today, so that's why she's here. And you guys aren't seeing her because she's over there. I see her, but you guys can't. No, I'm kidding. Put it this way. This is the person that was making the picks. I don't know why she called me coach. Why did you call me coach? Anyways, Huskies made their, actually that's called the Huskies. That is it for the draft. For this one, round 3 and 4 are tomorrow. I'm going to put this. I don't even start it. 3 and 4 are tomorrow. And I will need to talk to the person making picks for the Panthers because the Panthers still have it. Draft order is pretty similar tomorrow. There's 160 picks, so 160 players get into the draft this year. And these are all the teams. Thank you guys for watching. If you went for the draft, thank you for watching. The season, I want to let you guys know the season starts. I do not know if I wrote it down. When does the season start? I think the third week. Third week? Yes. It's the third week, right? Okay, I should confirm that. So it's the third week in February when the season starts. So it will start. Oh, so it'll be the third Saturday. So it'll be the third Saturday in February. Third Saturday, Sunday. That is when the NBL week starts, and it's a matter of Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I will see you guys in the next video. Tomorrow night for the NBL draft, round 2 or round 3 and 4. Have a good night, morning, whatever you're doing. You know. I'll put these things up here. These these links to the intramural stream as well.